welcome back to Beauty Bee. I feel like I'm looking a little bit corpse-like in this video, and usually that would be a really bad thing, but I think that for today's theme, it might actually work. Because today we are looking at 13. Ooh, Halloween releases. Now, I took a pretty liberal approach to what I thought a Halloween release was. Basically, anything that was released mid-September to mid-October, maybe even early September to mid-October, and had any kind of Halloween-ish element to it, I decided was a Halloween release. So, like I said earlier, we have 13 collections to get through. So let's just jump right in. I think I'm going to rank these. So we're going to start from the worst and then work our way up to the best. Obviously, completely subjective, except for I'm the authority on all makeup, so obviously my ranking is right. Let's get into it. First of all, sorry ColourPop, this is a bad collection. I've already gone off on this at least once, but this Hocus Pocus collab is just not good. This kind of looks like a Wish version of their Hocus Pocus palette from last year. It's not good. I don't have anything particularly nice to say about this collection, except for maybe the Super Shocks look cute, but I don't think they look any cuter than any other set of Super Shocks. Yeah, bummer. Do better next time. Next up, we have Urban Decay, and this is one where I'm not 100% sure if this was intended to be a Halloween palette or a Halloween release or not. This is Urban Decay The Eternals. Now, I know nothing about Marvel, but I think that The Eternals is one of their upcoming films. I have no idea if this suits the theme or not, but I thought that a superhero release coming out in September, October was probably intended somewhat as a Halloween release. In any case, I don't like the packaging. I think that it's too big for what it is. I understand that this is very similar to Urban Decay's old school packaging with like the Alice in Wonderland collabs, the shadow boxes, but I don't like it. And yeah, the only thing that looks interesting at all to me out of this collection is that yellow highlighter. That could be really pretty. Everything else is just not noteworthy at all. Third, I feel like I don't have a whole lot to say about the ones at the bottom because it's not that they're really awful products, it's just they're so lackluster that I don't feel like there's a whole lot to say about them. And that's kind of the case for this next one too. This is Makeup Revolution, well, XX Revolution, because apparently that's different, with The Matrix. I've never seen The Matrix. I promise I do like watch films and I do know about pop culture, just the references that they're making in these sets aren't particularly relevant to me. This is more attractive than the previous two palettes we've seen. It's at least interesting. But yeah, I have no feelings about this. I feel like if you asked me in two days from now what this looked like, unless I was currently editing this video and had put in the photo of it like an hour before, I don't think I would know what this looked like. It's just not memorable at all. It's actually kind of impressive just how unmemorable this collection really is. Oh, the Poison Shock collection from BH Cosmetics. Now they have, I think it's 6 eyeshadow palettes that are 9 pans. They look a lot like the ColourPop monochromatic palettes, except one, I think that the ratios of matte to shimmer are not quite there. It seems to be, at least in most of the palettes, 3 mattes, 6 shimmers, and there isn't always as much variety in the depth of mattes as at least I personally would like. There are so many monochromatic palettes available now. I don't know why someone would pick these. Some of the color combinations are pretty. I will give them that. The green one, which I'm guessing is the Absinthe one, is quite pretty, as is it Nightshade? The cool tone neutral one, but you're just late to the game. If this had come out 2 years ago, I think it would have been a really cool collection, but it's just about 2 years, I would say. 2 years too late. Better luck next time. I actually don't know why I put the BH Cosmetics one lower than this. This is the Pricked collection by Jeffree Star. And this is such a basic palette. It's a warm and neutral palette that goes a little bit into orange. We've seen this so many times. This is just repackaged in kind of obnoxious packaging. And no. I think that this is looking a little bit more colorful than it actually is due to the background, but if you look at the shades individually, it's pretty much a warm neutral palette. I'm not interested in Jeffree Star Cosmetics to start with. I'm really not interested in this color story, and I guess this is another one that I don't really know if it's intended to be a Halloween collection, but that was my first assumption when I saw it, so it worked its way into this video. Yeah, I'm not drawn to this whatsoever. I feel like this next one I could see why someone would like. We're starting to get into the things that I think are good fall releases, just not my taste. And first up we have the Lunar Beauty Moonspell 2. Now, I thought that the Moonspell 1 was a very pretty palette. I thought that was a beautiful set of colors, first of all, and I also think that it just went in a really interesting direction. A lot of people thought at first that it didn't look much like a Halloween release, but it did go so grungy, but it also brought in those purples. It was really a lovely looking palette, and I think that this is not the best follow-up to it. This feels very one note in comparison to the original Moonspell palette. This feels very pink purple, and there's a couple of oranges thrown in there, but I feel like if you want this color combination, I feel like there's one of the ABH Norvina palettes that looks a lot like this. I'll put a picture of that up. And yeah, I just feel like there are too many similar shades. I mean, I see 2 different matte light pink purples. I see 2 that are sort of 1 shade deeper. I see 2 blue-based purples that seem to have a little bit of shimmer in them. It's just, there's too much repetition. Also, this just isn't my color stories to start with, so I can see why someone would be into this. I mean, if these are your colors, this is beautiful, but purple and orange just isn't my thing. Next up, I didn't intend to put all of the influencer brands right next to each other. I think these are all the influencer brands. I don't actually remember all the things that are coming up in this video. But this is the Lights Lacquer and Autumn Mystery Who Did It collection. I think that the marketing around this is adorable. I love this throwback Agatha Christie murder mystery theme. So cute. Kathleen looks gorgeous in these promotional images. And I think that the nail polishes are just okay. I think that the four that are in the center give the right vibe. I'm not sure that the light pink and that deeper pumpkin orange really are hitting that murder mystery vibe for me. But overall, I think this is a good collection. I've never tried anything from Light Slacker. I don't particularly want to try anything from Light Slacker, but this is cute. We're starting to get into some really good things here. And yeah, here's another one that I have no interest in purchasing for myself, but think was actually quite well executed. And that is Kylie Cosmetics' A Nightmare on Elm Street. Like the lip and cheek stains that look kind of like fake blood. That's pretty funny to me. And this is such a glam take on a very red palette. I feel like Kylie has done several of these red palettes over the years. I think she had a Christmas one that was very red, and maybe another Halloween one that was very red. I don't know. I have not really kept up with the Kylie Jenner brand, but this feels familiar, but it does feel very pretty. I can definitely see how you could get a Kardashian-approved Halloween look out of this, keeping it things very glam, but very themed at the same time. This makes... I can't say that Nightmare on Elm Street by Kylie Cosmetics is a collab that I think really makes sense, but I think they pulled it off. I think they did a good job here. One I don't really want to like, but I think, again, they did a good job of pulling off the theme. And this is Morphe by Sour Patch Kids. They really got the candy theme right. I have no interest in a palette that is that bright and that almost neon, but I think that if you were someone who wanted to play around with those kinds of colors, Morphe is probably one of the right brands to go to for that. I mean, this is probably, what, a $21 palette? $22 palette. Very, very reasonable, I think. And you don't want to shell out a bunch of money for products that you're not going to use very often. If you are just dipping your toes into neons, do you really want to put out $60 to have a go with them? Probably not. Also, they just nailed this like late 90s, early 2000s candy aesthetic. Like the weird candies that we had in the 2000s that weren't tasty. Do you remember those? Like, I feel looking at this, like especially that setting spray can, I could totally see myself having purchased that like at a soccer game circa 2003 with the $2 that my mom would sometimes give me to go to the refreshment stand when my brothers were playing soccer. I could see myself purchasing something that looked exactly like this, and even though this isn't a real candy, I feel like I even know what this would taste like. I can almost feel that awful mid-2000s like sour watermelon flavor that wasn't good. But for some reason, 8-year-old me couldn't get enough of it. They did a really good job with this collection. I don't like singing Morphe's praises, but I've got to say, this was solid. I only did this ranking last night, and I already feel like things would have changed a little bit. However, I'm just sticking with it. We're gonna go for it. Next up, we have the Nomad Cosmetics Haunted Europe palettes. Now, theming, packaging, marketing, A+. So they went to Dracula's castle and did their photo shoot. That's cute. I love this front with the lenticulated packaging where it shifts from the portrait of the woman to a portrait of her, but she's holding the skull. That's very cool, very Haunted Mansion. It's spooky, but a fun kind of spooky. I really like that. And then you open the palette, and it's a rainbow. Just not even like a really Halloween rainbow or a grungy rainbow. It's just a regular old rainbow palette. Maybe even a little bit on the pastel side. Very strange for the theme. It is amazing, the brands that have worked their way to the top this time around. But I think the next two things we need to talk about are actually both from Makeup Revolution. So these are number 3 and number 2. Number 3 is the Revolution Beauty, the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror collection. First of all, it's just cute that they decided to do a Treehouse of Horror theme. I think that's cute. And this palette is the right kind of theming to make a super bright Halloween palette. I mean, this is very Simpsons. It's a very animated set of colors, and I like it. I think that the big palette is definitely the more interesting set of shades. I think that the two smaller palettes are just a little bit darker and a little bit grungier than I think a Simpsons palette should be. I think they make a lot of sense for Halloween, but you picked a theme, so stick with the theme. Number 2 goes to their Corpse Bride collection. Now, I think they did a really good job with this collection. I think that the mirror is adorable. I wish that this was lenticulated the same way that the Nomad palette is. I think it would be really cool if when you shifted the mirror, it turned from Emily to Victoria, or Victoria to Emily. That would be cool. The Moth palette is very cute, and I think they did a good job with 90% of both the Moth palette and their larger palette of keeping with these Corpse Bride shades. I mean, this gray-based to pastel blues and greens and purples, grays, it does definitely read very Tim Burton, very Corpse Bride, and my 11-year-old self is very happy with this. However, maybe I'm just forgetting something from the film, but why do these palettes have this red and this bright yellow gold? I mean, I guess in the larger palette it's not quite as yellow of a gold, it's more of just a true gold, but is there something in the films that would suggest those need to be included? I don't get it. I don't feel like they really go with the rest of the colors either. It's a strange inclusion. But overall, I think this is a nice little collection. And I think that if you're going to do a very Halloween themed collection, like very much centered around, say, an intellectual property like The Corpse Bride or like Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that, that people would likely really only want to use for 6 weeks of the year. I mean, I know that there are people who use their Halloween stuff year-round. I mean, I wear this top year-round. It's been in my laundry basket literally every time I've done laundry since I got it this summer. But I like this price point for something that a lot of people are only going to use for a short period of the year. I can't imagine buying, let's say, a Pat McGrath or Natasha Denona palette and then only using it for 6 weeks to 2 months of the year. That would be so disappointing. And that actually brings us to our final collection. And this was one that I feel is Halloween themed, but then I was looking at it further, and I'm not sure that they ever actually said it was. But this is MAC, and it is their Tempting Fate collection. To me, this reads as a Baroque still life Memento Mori collection, and I think that is so cool. It's a really lovely set of collections. It's very deep, it's very rich, it feels luxurious in an almost obnoxious way, in like a really old money kind of way. I think that this palette is beautiful. It's all shimmery. They look to have the beautiful level of shine to them. I think that those two very light neutral shimmers on the far left look gorgeous. The imprint on the pans is stunning. This is the kind of Halloween collection that I could really see someone using year-round and getting a lot of use out of. I mean, the brushes are pretty too, with those gold handles with what sort of looks like filigree on them. Just stunning. Everything about this I like. So today we have covered 13 different Halloween releases. I hope you will let me know if you also think that these were Halloween releases, because as I was going through, I felt pretty confident at first that I had correctly identified Halloween pieces, and then as I kept going, I'm really not sure. So thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear if you've purchased any of these and if you have any opinions, especially on that MAC one, because I'm not going to, but I'm curious. So thanks for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed, and I hope that I will see you in my next video. Bye!